Hey guys, I wanted to show you a quick video .loop tutorial on how to create a listing agreement whenever you get a new listing. So I'm going to move myself down here. Everything is going to start in .loop. So anytime you log into .loop, make sure you see the Copper Creek logo up top. If you don't, you could be in a personal one, a personal account, and you might not have access to all of our templates and stuff like that. So first thing is always make sure you get the Copper Creek one open. Then we're going to go over here to add loop. Then we're going to name the loop. We want to name the same cadence as we name all of them. So we're just going to do 123 Main Street. So you're going to do the address, not the city, state, zip, but just the street address, dash. And if it's a buyer or seller, and then the client's last name. So again, if I have a seller, if I'm listing the Johnson's house, I'm going to do 123 Main Street, seller, Johnson. If the Johnsons are buying 123 Main Street, you're going to do 123 Main Street, buyer, Johnson. And then what this does is it creates a name that we can easily search. We can search by the address, we can search by a buyer or seller, we can search by the client's name. So don't click any of these. It's going to try to find a Google Map address. So we're just going to skip that. So we're going to name street address, seller, and then name. Then I'm going to go over here and click continue. This is where we're going to pick a template. So based on whatever activity you're doing as a template you want, we're going to do a listing template. We'll go through the other templates in another video. And this is going to pull all the documents you need necessary for a listing. You can add a photo if you want. Seems like a waste of time to me. Do whatever you would like though, and then hit done. It's going to create the loop for us, and we're going to click View Loop. Now, here are all the documents that we need to do a listing agreement for the Johnsons. So I like to pull just some of the most important ones up top. The listing agreement, then the seller needs to go up top, the disclosures, lead-based paint disclosure if there is one. So really all these documents are required except for the cover sheet. Cover sheet is optional, but everything else needs to be signed at some point. So we might as well go ahead and do them all at once. So first thing you do when you get into a loop is come down here to people and add your clients. I'm going to spell my name wrong so I can add. And then you're going to do their name, their email, and then their role. So right now we're doing a seller. You don't need to fill out any of this other stuff. Just name, email, and whatever role they are. The role is important because .loop will autofill all their information. So now I've got Brett Kreger, Kreger.Brett@Yahoo, and they're the seller. So I'm going to go into the listing agreement first. I'm going to autofill as much of it as I can. So again, we're on 123 Main Street, OKC, Oklahoma 73120. So I put all this in. The seller's email. We don't really need the other information, listing information. The expiration date, I'm just going to go out like 6 months. Listing date, we're going to say it's today. The price, we're going to say $250,000. Legal description, you can grab this from, if you go to our agent portal, and that is what I always recommend. Go to our website, click agent login at the top, select the county, say we're in Oklahoma County. It's going to take you to the county assessor website. Then we're just going to go, pull up whatever your address is, click on it, and then your legal description will be full legal description right here. So you can just grab Lakehurst 917. So it's really block 9, lot 17. So let's go in here and say blah, 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 block 9, lot 17. So just grab the legal description from the county, and then we are done. We're going to hit autofill. So everything is going to get autofilled, but I'll walk through the document here with you just for a minute. So property address has the address that we autofilled, legal description that we autofilled, purchase price. So you can just see, if you're ever wondering what goes in a field, my advice is just read the preceding sentence and then the following sentence. It normally tells you. So it just says at the price of, and the terms here and stated. So basically saying what's the list price, $250. Section 2 is the terms of the contract. So in order for a listing agreement to be a binding agreement, it has to have a start date and an end date. So we're going to start it whenever you want. This is the date that it will go live on the MLS. The agreement is active the date it is signed. So even though this might not go active for another week or two, your listing agreement is active, enforceable whenever they sign it. So remember that. So this will be whatever date you want to put it live on the market. So maybe we're actually going to do it this Friday. We're going to list it. And then this is the end date. We can put 6 months out. If you want to do a day-to-day listing agreement, you can do that in the additional provisions, other conditions. Agreement can be canceled at any time with 24-hour notice. And that way it's a day-to-day agreement. So start date, end date. Now 3 is how much commission we're going to get. So this is where you're going to charge both sides, buyer and seller commission. We charge to the seller, and then we pay the buyer's agent out of our cooperating agreement. So if you're going to charge 5%, you put 5% here. All Copper Creek contracts, listing agreements have a $150 transaction fee. So basically, if you read this, it says seller agrees to pay commission equal to 5% of the total sales price of the property plus $150. If you're just charging a flat fee, like maybe you're just going to do a flat fee listing for $1,000, then you would delete that and you would put 1,000, or it'd be $1,150. So it's $1,000 plus the $150 transaction. So if you're doing a flat fee, it goes in this section. If you're doing commission plus transaction fee, it goes in that top half. So we're going to do 5% with a $150 fee. Now, section 3B, I always put zeros in here. Basically what this says is if you fire me and then you sell the property to a buyer that walked through it while I had it listed, you might actually owe me commission. So 1 is a very low probability, probably will never ever happen. 2, the last sentence disqualifies almost everything. This clause shall not apply if the seller relists the property with another broker. So if I show it to a buyer, they fire me, they relist it with another broker, and then that buyer walks through again and buys it, they don't owe me anything. So the chance of this coming to fruition is so small, I just put 0 because then I can say, if you fire me, you don't owe me any money. It's easy for me to say that. And then it gives them an out of the contract, makes them feel comfortable with everything. So I just put 0 here. This sentence is the same thing, but it talks about for a lease. So I just put 0, 0 here. The rest of it, read through it. It's important stuff. I'm really just kind of talking about how to fill it out here. But most of it, we're going to go through the Broker Disclosure Act, our duties to them as a licensed agent, their duties, their rights and representations to us, gives us permission to do certain things, put it on the MLS, put signs in the yard, that kind of stuff. The next thing we need to fill out is section 19, though. It's going to give us, so it says broker is or is not authorized to place a lockbox on the property. So unless they don't want one, we always put yes, because then we can put our Sentry box on there so other realtors can get in. Section 20 gives us authorization to disclose the existence of an offer. So basically what this means is if I receive an offer and another buyer says, hey, I think I'm interested in the house, this gives me authority to tell both buyers that there is another offer that is interested in the house. So it behooves the seller and you to always say does, but we have to get permission to disclose that information. So we always want to say does have authorization to disclose the existence of an offer. Section 21 is if we want to offer a residential service agreement. This is a home warranty. So there are seller home warranties, which are significantly cheaper. I think they're $75, $100, and they protect against items found in the inspection. They protect against things during the sale of the property. So if there's a hot water tank that needs to be replaced or HVAC or something like that big that needs to be replaced, this warranty could cover the cost of that for just the the $100 deductible that you pay for it. So you can offer these. We work with American Preferred Home Warranty, which has a really good program here. They give you a lot of protection if you can sell these to your sellers. Most sellers are going to say no, they don't want it. If it's an old home and there's issues, maybe you get it. But if you don't want one, you just put $0 and you say will not purchase an RSA, which is a residential service agreement, which is a home warranty. The last section is asking if it's in a flood hazard. If it's yes, say yes. If it's not, say no. And then any other conditions. So you want to put if it's day to day. Another thing here is if you're working with a FSBO maybe and they want to reserve a specific buyer. Maybe they had a buyer come through and they're interested in buying it, but they haven't come by yet, you can just say seller reserves Chris Johnson as their own buyer. So if Chris Johnson buys the house, you don't owe me any money. But anything else you want to put in here, you can also put in here. You can leave the day accepted blank because it timestamps it when they sign. So the broker of the company is going to be Copper Creek Real Estate. You will sign here. So as long as you assign yourself as the listing agent, then you can sign there. And then the seller, Brett Kreger, is going to sign here. And then there's only one seller, so no one will sign here. Leave that blank. You don't have to fill this stuff out either. It's not important anymore. All of it's gathered in dotloop, so you don't have to fill it out. Then we're going to hit save. We're going to go back into our documents. We're going to do our net to seller. So we have a pre-filled out net to seller. Again, kind of autofill these items makes it a lot easier. $250,000 price, sales commission. We did 5%. It's going to autofill a lot of this for us. So the only thing that's not going to be on here is our annual taxes. So again, I'm going to use this fake property. We're going to go back to the county assessor page that we were at. And we're going to click view taxes right here, treasurer, view taxes. That's going to tell us what taxes are. So we're going to grab this right here, total due for 2023. Then we're going to go back to dotloop. We're going to add that amount. So the way we fill this out is you put the annual taxes here and then the month of sale here. So say we're going to sell in the month of February. February is the second month, so we're going to put a 2 here. And what that's going to do, it's going to calculate 2 months worth of this annual tax. Taxes are paid in arrears, so the seller is just going to credit the buyer the amount of taxes that they owed during the time they lived there. So if they lived there for 2 months, they would owe $741.70 to the buyer, and the buyer will pay the whole year at the end of the year themselves. Commission 5% is $12,500 plus the transaction fee of $150. A lot of this other stuff is pre-built out for you. Settlement, closing fee. These are estimates. Again, explain to your client. These are estimates. Once we get a house under contract, we'll have more firm numbers, but these are all estimates. Recording fee, doc stamps is auto-calculated based on the sales price. Maybe they have their own their own inspections they want to do. You can have those here. Seller paid closing costs. If your buyer, you have to fill this out at the time of listing and at the time of contract. So once we receive a contract, we'll know if the buyer is asking for closing costs or not. Maybe the buyer is asking for $3,500 in closing costs. We'll put that here. It just comes off their net. And then any HOA condo dues, maybe they owe $100 a month and they're going to sell them the second month. So they owe $100 worth of HOA fees, or $200, I guess. So all this will add up to the total estimated expense, which is $18,691.70. If we sell it for full list price, then their net is going to be $231,308. So you may notice we don't have the mortgage payoff on here. That really doesn't matter to us for this. The purpose of this is to disclose the fees associated with the transaction. That's our duty as a realtor or as a licensed agent, is to disclose the fees. They can get their own payoff and calculate the information. But this is going to show them if we sell it for list price, they're going to net about $231,308. Then they need to subtract whatever they owe. So if they owe $200, then they're going to walk away with $31,308. Then the seller will sign here. If there's 2 sellers, they'll sign here, and then you will sign the prepared buy. Little disclaimer about the disclosures as well. All right, we're going to save that. We're going to go to the next document, the disclosures. So this is, again, we're going to autofill. There's HOA, there's not. So we can't fill out anything on this. Seller has to fill all this out. We can't even help them. They have to do everything. One thing we can click is if the seller is or is not occupying the property. So for this one, we'll just say they are. Everything else, we can't even click. The seller has to do it. We can't do anything. So you can see it already assigns the seller to initial here, initial here, initial here, and sign here. So the way you fill these out, just for your knowledge, page 1 is like an inventory of the mechanical items on the property. You're going to go through and say if they are working, not working, you don't know if they're working, or if they're not included. So sprinkler system, this house doesn't even have a sprinkler system. So we're going to click not included. Swimming pool doesn't have a swimming pool, so not included. Hot tub doesn't have it. Water heater. It does have a water heater. I'm acting like the seller. It does have a water heater. Water heater's gas, and it's working. So tell them page 1 is inventorying the items, mechanical items in the house, whether they're working, not working, or not included. Section 2 is going to go through, it's going to finish doing the appliances and the systems. But page 2 is going to go through zoning issues, flood and water issues, repair issues, environmental issues, easement issues. So basically tell them to go through and answer yes or no to all these questions. If they're not sure, don't kill yourself searching for the answers. Just put if you do know or if you don't know. So answer all these items. If you answer yes to anything on page 2, 3, or 4, you have to explain it on the last page. So let's say, the most common one is the roof. So number 16, approximate age of the roof, if known. Are you aware of the roof covering ever being replaced or repaired? So it's Oklahoma, roofs get replaced every 5-6 years. So if they click yes, that means they need to go explain why they clicked yes. So they would type number, let's say, I'm going to sign this for the purpose. This is what they need to do. Number 15, replaced roof from hail damage in 2018. So if they answer yes to anything, they need to go through and explain why they answered yes. So I've had people in the past say, well, I didn't disclose that because I fixed it. That's not how this works. Even if something was fixed, it needs to be disclosed. So if there was a flood and you fixed everything, doesn't matter. You still need to disclose that it was a flood. So have the seller go through and answer yes or no on all these. If they answer yes, explain it. Then they will sign here, an initial here, and then they're done. Save it. We're going to go back. Next item. If the house was built before 1978, it's going to need a lead-based paint disclosure. So we're going to autofill. If it was built after 1978, doesn't need it. But this is lead-based paint disclosure. So it's basically saying the home was built before 1978. There is a high probability that it had lead-based paint. Typically where they did lead-based paint was on the exterior of the home and around window sills and trim. That's where most lead-based paint was done. It held up against sunlight a little bit better, a little more wear and tear. So basically they need to answer A and B is, do they have any knowledge of lead-based paint in the property? Knowledge is like a report, or they know it, they tested it, they know. They need to say seller has no knowledge or seller has knowledge of lead-based paint. Most times they're going to click no. Second section is, do you have any reports or records? So has it ever been tested? So seller has provided them or seller has not provided them. So they'll check that. And then the purchaser checks this item as they buy it. And then you as a listing agent will do the agent acknowledgement. And it just says you have informed them of their responsibilities. So you will sign here. And then you will sign the agent. Then they will sign under seller. Okay, hit save. Disclosure of brokerage duties. This is a breakdown of our duties as licensed agents. Again, read through it. It's important to understand. But for here, we're just going to do a listing brokerage agreement. This just means we're getting this signed as a listing agent. Their name is already filled out. They'll sign here. We're going to hit save again. Wire fraud advisory. Again, this just notifies your client of wire fraud and how to best avoid it. It's going to put the property address up here. It's going to put their name here. And we're going to hit save again after we update it. And then the seller cover sheet. So once there's a property that goes under contract is when you want to fill this out. But this is just something, you put your information here. This is something that we can give the title company so that they have contact information for your client, for the HOA, for the buyer's realtor, if there's a buyer's realtor, for the seller's mortgage so they can get the payoff. If there's a transaction fee, $150 or maybe you charge $300, whatever. Any additional notes you want to put down. But this is just for you to fill out and give the title company or the lender or anyone else associated with the transaction. The seller doesn't sign this. This is just contact information for you. So once we filled everything out, we want to go click all the items that need a signature right here. We're going to share. And since we are asking them to fill out the disclosures, we need to give them permission to fill and sign. If we just did sign, they wouldn't be able to fill out the disclosures. So they need to be able to fill and sign the document. So we're going to give that permission. And then we're going to hit share. So now it's going to send them an email. I'll go to my Yahoo account, kind of show you what it looks like. But that is really all for listing agreements. They're going to receive this email right here. Brett has sent 6 documents for you to sign in the loop. and they're going to click View All Documents. And then they will follow the prompts, start signing. It's going to ask them to fill stuff out since they have the ability to fill out. So they just need to scroll down, have them sign here. Adopt and sign. These are since I'm doing both, it's asking me to do both. But you would sign here, they would sign here. They go to the next one, sign. This is where they would start filling everything out, working, blah, blah, blah. They'd fill all this out for you. They would fill out anything that is, that we discussed. Then they would sign. They would initial each thing. They would fill out the disclosures. If there's lead-based paint, then they would sign. Broker, again, sign. Wire fraud, sign. So I'm done. You skipped 5 signature lines. They should do it, but they'll say skip. I'm going to skip for the purpose of this video. And then it will say done. It's going to ask them to rate it. They hit no. It's going to ask them to set up an account, but now they're done signing everything. So then you should receive an email that says Brett Krager, all these. Brett Krager signed this document, this document, this document, this document. So this is how you know they signed everything. So I'm going to delete it. Then you go back in here. You notice that when we shared it, it said waiting on others. Now that everything is signed, I hit refresh. Oh, I went into the dot loop, so I need to log back in. 1 second, since I was signing and doing it. There we go. All right, so now you see it says sign, sign, sign. I skipped a couple, so it says part signed. So this means they didn't finish all of it. But if they did it all, it'd be signed. So that is all of the listing agreement. I'm going to go through how to input a property into the MLS in another video, but this is how you do all of the listing paperwork. If you have any questions, get with us, get on the Facebook page, ask questions, call me, text me, email me, and we can get all those questions as well. So keep your eye out for the other how to list on the MLS, and I hope you guys have a good day.